We are back here on the Crash Report with Daisy Dead of the Dead Deads. Daisy, what's going on?
Not much. I kind of have my eyes glued on the news, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's one thing after another, nonstop.
Yeah.
What
Yeah, trying to take breaks, but yeah, just kind of keeping an eye.
what have you been doing the past 10 months, almost a year, I guess, since the pandemic started?
Gosh, a lot of stuff and then a lot of nothing. Mostly staying home. But uh I've actually done some things, like we flew to Las Vegas not too long ago to do kind of like a live stream show. But been doing a lot of reading and did a lot of like deep cleaning of the house, things like that.
I would imagine, I mean, obviously the pandemic was a bummer for everyone, but you guys were about to go on tour with The Darkness. I
Yeah.
think it was like a month after everything went down. I mean, that had to be a huge fucking bummer.
It was. That's the right word for it. It was a bummer. I mean, it like we understood and we, kind of saw it coming by the time they actually announced that it was canceled. But yeah, we were really looking forward to it. It was a great tour. Those guys were awesome. We were on the Kiss cruise with them, and that's kind of how that came together. So they're fun to hang out with, and just the tour itself. It was like all around the U.S. and up through Canada, like some revisits of some venues that we loved, and then hitting some places that were on our dream list or whatever. So it kind of sucked, but
Well, hopefully when life goes back to normal and they'll inevitably reschedule the tour, hopefully you guys are on the reschedule.
yeah.
So going back to the, you brought up the live stream you guys did. That was the first ever time you guys had done a live stream, right? Christmas Eve.
It was, yeah. Yeah, it was. Well, we every year we do like kind of a holiday around the holidays. We do a big show that we call Abduction, and kind of go all out with some extra production kind of stuff, and really encourage people to dress up and kind of make a bigger deal out of it. We get a lot of travelers into Nashville, but this time, we couldn't do that, so we went to Vegas instead and did a big light show.
Is it, I would imagine with a band like the Dead Deads, it's got to be a little, I don't know if difficult's the right word, but I feel like a band like you guys feeds so much off of the crowd and the energy of an overall live experience. So is it almost awkward in a way doing a live stream when you're not really playing it? I mean, it's almost just like a glorified rehearsal at that point, I would imagine.
Yes, it was. It was kind of hard. Like, and while there's plenty of moments, like especially I guess between a bass player and a drummer, where we're like paying more attention to each other than anything else. But yeah, then it's like, especially at the end of the song, I guess it's kind of like comedy, as we saw, um, at the beginning of quarantine, when like these late night hosts would like tell a joke, and then it's like there's no laughing.
Dead silence afterwards.
And it just hung there. So
Yeah.
it kind of feels like that after, like, between songs, like crickets.
Uh, is there any plans for another live stream?
We don't have plans for one. We'd be willing to do one probably, and if we can put something else together, but we don't have plans for one now.
Probably just like everyone else, hoping touring will come back sooner rather than later.
Yes. Yeah, us too.
So take me back to the beginning of the band. If I recall accurately, it was your singer that was doing like a solo acoustic show, and she realized she was on a bill with punk bands, and she was like, "Shit, I got to get something together. This doesn't work." So she called you to help put something together. Is that right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, and because like I played piano and actually trumpet in school, but I'd really put it down for the most part. But she would, bass, as I've said before, it can be as easy as it needs to be. And so she was like, I bet you could at least do some punk rock songs. And so I came into the rehearsal space and was like, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I can do this.
Were you freaking out at that first show? Like, fuck, I've never done this before. Like, I'm a little nervous.
I was pretty nervous, but I guess I was ready for it, and the crowd was great. So yeah,
Well, and you're kind
we
of
had
like
rehearsed enough. I felt good.
you're kind of like a jack of all trades in music. I mean, you said you play piano and trumpet. You played trumpet in another band, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Afro Cocoa Roots is what it's called. It's an Afrobeat band, and it's like a jazz kind of thing. And I'm like the weakest link. They're all way better than me.
From what I saw, I mean, I didn't look up the band too much, but it seems like there's quite a few people in that project. It's not like a normal, 4 or 5 piece band or whatever.
No, there's like 10 of us. There's
Oh my
like,
God.
yeah, there's like drum percussion, there's 3 horns, or sometimes 4. You've got guitar, bass, the singer, a keyboard player, and maybe I feel like I'm probably forgetting some, but I know roughly it's 10.
Is it Nashville based, or do you guys like take it
Yeah.
on the road, or do you just kind of hang around?
It's so far it's Nashville based. Like want to take it on the road if we can, but like we kind of got to that point where it was like maybe we could start doing out of town shows, and then COVID.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. COVID definitely put a damper on everything for everyone.
yeah,
So the band's first tour ever was Hailstorm, I believe. Uh,
that's right.
and that came by like from like a chance encounter with Lzzy Hale at an airport, right?
Yeah, our lead singer Tish, she and Lizzie like ended up sitting next to each other, and I think it was that like Tish was sitting there like clearly writing out lyrics like in a notebook or something, and then they ended up striking up a conversation.
That's insane. I mean, most bands only dream of doing something like that at any point in their lives, not their first tour ever. That something like that happens to very few bands.
Yeah, it was kind of ridiculous.
And you guys have, I mean, guys have followed that up so strong. I mean, going out with Seether and Bush, and I think there was like some Stone Sour dates and the Kiss
Yeah.
Cruise, Shiprocked, and I mean, so many things. I mean, it's got to be crazy going from, playing in, local spots in Nashville to all of a sudden you're on these massive tours, just almost out of the blue.
It was. I mean, I guess because we got our sea legs so early, that we kind of figured out what tour life is like, and what you need. You got to get your merch, and then there's like the social media aspect. You got to promote the shows, and like so we kind of got our stuff down, and I guess to some extent it like showed that we were ready. And so then when other tour opportunities came up, it was like, yeah, they can do this.
I hear a lot of stories about like smaller bands that finally get onto like a bigger tour, and they get there and they don't know, they don't understand like the how you're supposed to act around the headliner, and just, certain ways you're supposed to be. Was that is it difficult? Is it as difficult as people would think? Is there a lot of rules, and is it something that's difficult to get used to, or
I think that depends on who it is. We've thus far, had pretty friendly. Well, what it's been is we've had a relationship with the artist before, and that's how we got the tour, or that at least gave us the like a leg up anyway. And so we already. I don't know that we've trying to think if they're well. I guess Bush. We didn't know them directly. We hadn't met them or played like on a boat with them before. But Paige Hamilton, who had produced our record, For Your Obliteration, he had produced Gavin Rossdale's solo record. And so he at least put in a good word. And then, but those bands, like, they always make a point to like go out and introduce themselves, and they come out and watch, the first show or two. So yeah, there haven't been a lot of like, don't make eye contact. We haven't really gotten any shows like that.
you haven't had to deal with too many like rock star egos, so to speak?
Yeah, no kind of egos. They've all been very friendly, not too friendly. They've been friendly and respectful. But yeah.
There's a lot of and especially more and more as time goes on, and just the world kind of changes. There's a lot of people that are, kind of want to get rid of the whole like, oh, so and so is a female fronted band, and oh, they have a chick in the band, and this and that. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you would agree with that. But do you still find it difficult that, even though people say that you shouldn't even, it shouldn't even matter that there's a woman in the band? Do you find it that it's harder you have to work harder, you have to prove yourselves even more because there are some people out there that maybe don't take it quite as seriously as if the band was all men.
No, I actually haven't had that experience. I think there is, maybe there's a thing about with radio, that they, and it was kind of blew up a lot on the countryside, but where there's like either an unwritten or possibly written rule that like you only have like one um, rotating single of female at a time. So you only get one chick at a time, and then it's the rest dudes. But aside from that, as far as the like getting tours and even just finding crew and everything else, we really haven't run into that. If anything, I think it's a point of distinction to some extent.
Well,
So it's like a different thing. Whereas like, I kind of felt this way like on Kiss Cruise, and kind of joking, kind of not, but it's like there's all these boy bands and I can't keep them straight, and it's like their names, like they're all just like these generic boy bands, and all the boys, they all look the same. So I think, yeah, we at least helps us stand out, I think.
I was early on, a few weeks ago on the show, we had Sticks It In You from Steel Panther on.
Mm.
He was saying that there's a lot of like newer bands that if he, saw a lineup of new bands, like he couldn't pick out a single member. He couldn't, specify, this band is, it's these guys and this one is that band. And
Yeah, they do tend to run together.
well, it's, interesting because I used to be a country DJ on a country station.
Okay.
And, going back to the whole radio thing, that was, country, especially now, because it's almost pop. I mean, I was at a restaurant last night and they had like a music choice channel on and it was pop and country.
Oh yeah, I've seen that channel. I don't listen to that channel, but I listen to Music Choice.
The pop country stuff is god awful, I think. But, there's a lot of, there's a lot of women that are prominent in that world. And I almost feel like, with rock, it's almost like, you have your Hailstorm and, In This Moment and, Pretty Reckless and
Yep.
like, that's it. And then it's, all the other, name that band and they're,
Yep.
with dudes and it's in there. So it's almost like rock still has to kind of get over that hump a little bit because they're seem to be, not that rock isn't accepting, but it seems to be like the least, it's still a little behind.
Yeah, it's weird. Again, I guess it's also just in my experience. People love Hailstorm and In This Moment and
They
Pretty
do,
Reckless.
absolutely.
I don't really know why they keep them, like why you don't hear more of them together at the same time. Like why it's so dude focused. It's because it's not like people hate the female fronted.
No, not at all. Not at all.
They love it. So give them more.
Yeah, no, I agree because I mean, at some point, there's only so many voices that a dude can have. So at some point, the bands kind of start to blend together, and you're like, I mean, there's so many people.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, is this Nickelback? Oh wait, is it Theory of a Dead Man? I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, give it some texture variation.
I was reading somewhere that you guys had all quit your day jobs, but then at one point you went back to you would like do like temping stuff in between tour cycles.
Yeah.
Have you been doing a lot of that during the downtime?
Yeah, I actually took on a full, well, not full, mostly full-time job, like day job kind of thing, with a company called Bitchin' Sauce. And they make a vegan almond plant-based dip. And they're actually friends of mine that started the company, and they're kicking ass. And it's a really fun doing just kind of like logistics and working in spreadsheets with them. But I can do that from home and kind of remote. So
As you
it
probably
works
do
out.
when touring comes back, you probably do it on the road too. Then
Yeah.
it's got to be weird though, like going, being on the road all the time, and you're doing the whole touring life, and then you come home and it's like shit. Now I gotta do something to pass the time. I mean, even in this pandemic, I feel like if I was in a band that was even very successful, where I didn't need money or anything, I would get so fucking bored. It's like, what am I
Yeah.
supposed to do all day? There's only so much you can possibly do. There's only so much Netflix to watch before you're like, I gotta
Exactly.
find something productive to do.
Yeah. So I definitely feel like it's helped me keep sane as well, and uses a different part of my brain and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I had to find a bunch of hobbies because I mean, I have a 2-year-old and I got to
Well,
spend.
that's hobby enough.
Yeah, I mean that's very time consuming and stressful, but it's like I mean, I wasn't working, but man, we got to find something to do to pass the time because I was going crazy just sitting around,
Yeah.
But it does feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel here. What is next for the Dead when life presumably someday will return back to normal?
Looking for a tour, and that way we can kind of peg a release date for the record, that we recorded a year ago. And we've since been putting out singles, and we've got a single out right now called "Hey Girlfriend," with actually featuring a friend of ours, Julia, and so that's blowing up Spotify. We're shooting for 1 million spins on that right now, and looking at figuring out what kind of our next singles are. We don't want to do them all before the record comes out, but we definitely want to kind of keep new stuff coming out, because it's fun.
I was just having a discussion yesterday actually with your manager, and we were talking about releases and stuff, and I really think it's such a great idea to hold off on dropping a record in the middle of all this because I've seen bands that have like, man, we got to get this out. We got to get this album out. And it's like, well, you can't tour on it. You can't really do anything to support it. And they're like, oh, yeah, but dude, we got to get it out. We got to get it out. And
Yeah.
to me, that's just not a great idea. I mean, look, if you're able to, sell out stadiums or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But
Right.
if you're a developmental act or you're on the come up and you still got to work at things, to me, it
Mhm.
makes absolutely zero sense to release an album in the middle of all this when you can't do anything to really get it out there.
Yeah, I definitely understand like, we want to. I mean, we want to get it out there because we think our fans are going to really like it. And we're really very excited and proud of what we've done. And so we want to be like, but we can wait. It'll hold.
I got to say, I didn't. I've seen the band name for quite some time now, and I finally like checked you guys out at some point in the middle of the pandemic, and I was just like, oh my god, why did I wait so long? It's I seriously have become a big fan of you guys. It's
Oh, thanks.
the songs are cool. Some of the lyrics are kind of like tongue in cheek a little bit. Like Murder Ballad is such a cool song.
Yeah.
It's almost you guys almost have like kind of like an old school vibe, but then kind of like a little bit of a more modern vibe. And it's definitely something that's interesting and a little more unique than a lot of the other things that are out there right now.
Cool. Well, thank you. Yeah. I mean, we all love all kinds of music. And so when we're writing, um, and we kind of do it mostly organically. So the music part anyway. Yeah, we just, want to have fun and just whatever sounds cool to us.
Well, Daisy, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much for doing this. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
We will be right back on the Crash Report. Hang on.
We'll see you next time on the Crash Report. While you wait, make sure to like and subscribe to the show, damn it. Thanks for listening.